Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin video. As Bitcoin skyrockets higher and higher, people are broadening their predictive horizons. They're thinking more about the longer term. They're thinking specifically about the big questions. Will Bitcoin follow the 4-year cycle? When and where will Bitcoin top out in this bull run? And will Bitcoin enter a super cycle? Given the new interest in the market of these long-term questions, I will be making this video giving you my price targets on Bitcoin based on the 4-year cycle, when I think Bitcoin's going to top, where I think Bitcoin's going to top, and giving you also my alternate plan if the 4-year cycle does happen to break. So big topics, 4-year cycle, super cycle, top dates, top prices, everything's going to be covered in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not one you want to miss. Let's get into it. Guys, before we get into the video today, let's quickly check out the VIP group on Telegram. You can find altcoin trading in our VIP Telegram group 3 to 4 times a week. If you want to make money on altcoins, you can do so with this group. In the link below in the description box, you'll find the link to the information and results group chat showing you the information, the payment information, and also a PDF of all the trading results. Check it out there on Telegram. Then moving forward, we have the BitGet and BingX exchanges. These are the exchanges I advertise on this YouTube channel. Both are very low in trading fees. Both have never been hacked before. I've got my referral links below for BitGet and BingX, giving you discounts and rewards that last full lifetime in the exchange. So go ahead and check them out. Good way to help the channel, good way to get on a good exchange yourself. You're paying exchanges money and fees, you're trusting them with security. Get on a good one. Those are below. And then finally, Crypto Academy's Become a Trader 10-unit course will teach you how to trade. All the information in that regard is on the website, which again, you can find in the description below. Now that we've gone through the advertisements, we can dive straight into the content. What is it that I'm discussing today? Well, as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, I am discussing Bitcoin price targets for the all-time high, for the top, right? Where is the bull market top, right? What price will it be at? When will it be? And how does this relate to the current price action? Okay, so we'll get into my estimates of the Bitcoin price targets and when I think it will be first and foremost. And then we'll get into the nuance that is going on with the current macro trend, because there is a macro trend, as I've been discussing for a long period of time now on this YouTube channel. We're at about 3 or 4 weeks now. There is a macro trend that relies on Bitcoin closing a monthly candle below 49K that is being threatened to break. Okay, if we break a weekly candle above 49K, Bitcoin's macro trend that has lasted for 11 years will be broken, and that will add a degree of mystery to where and when the Bitcoin top will be of the bull market. But right now, there is no mystery. So we'll look at the price action right now. So first of all, just giving you a boring recap. What is the 4-year cycle? The 4-year cycle is a date range trend on Bitcoin. It's the strongest trend Bitcoin has. And the reason it's the strongest trend Bitcoin has is 2 reasons. Well, one of which is that it's not just one trend. It's supported by many micro trends. You'll see on the top left-hand side of the screen, color-coded text. And if you take the colors of that text, for example, if you look at this red text here, 1,400 days from top to top, and you go ahead and look at the screen here of the red measurement, the red date range measurement, you can see they're color-coded. You can go ahead and see the orange measurement here, 1,400 days from bottom to bottom. You can check out the measurement line in orange. You can see all of these 5 separate sentences are 5 separate micro trends that are painted on this screen here that all support the idea of Bitcoin topping out in October 2025, okay? So the 4-year cycle is strong, not because it's been around for a long time, that's one of the reasons, but the main reason is it's a larger trend, an umbrella trend that encompasses many other micro trends. And there's many other micro trends developing within the 4-year cycle as well. And one of those trends is this macro trend that we're going to look at in a second. But I'm kind of throwing around a word salad here. The point is, it's got many micro trends. And the second point is, it's supported by things like fundamental events, like the halving, like election cycles, like the 18.6-year real estate economic cycle. There's many cycles that go into the 4-year cycle. So the 4-year cycle is kind of like a perfect accumulation, a perfect mixing pot of many other factors. And that's why it's worked so well historically. That's why on this YouTube channel, we've been able to predict the November 2021 top within 5% using the 4-year cycle. And that's exactly why a year later, in November 2022, we were able to predict the bottom before anyone else within a few days. So it's pretty bloody accurate. In fact, it's the most accurate thing Bitcoin has. And right now, it's not broken. So what does that mean? It means we can extrapolate that and we can get future targets based off of it. So again, if we extrapolate the 4-year cycle trend, the date range target, so when Bitcoin will top out this bull market coming up, right, which should be starting after the halving, it should top out in October next year, October 2025. That's when Bitcoin should reach its peak. Now, what about price targets? Because we know when it'll occur based on the 4-year cycle. What about the price targets? Well, the price target's a little bit more complicated question because we don't really have price target trends. These are date range trends. All these micro trends here are date range based. Now, price targets we can speculate, and I have done so on the right hand side of the screen. And ultimately, I've made formulas. So I've made 3 different formulas. One of which you can see in blue here. I've taken the historical data from bottom to halving. I've got the kind of return, adjust the speculated bottom to halving return, adjusted for diminishing returns, 153%, which says that according to the $15,000 bottom, we should be at 39K at the halving. So 39K. So basically we should go down from here according to this formula. And then from there, we've taken the halving to top measurements. We've adjusted diminished returns. And that gives us a 208% gain from the speculated halving price of 39K, which brings us to $120,000 at the Q4 2025 top. So the first formula says 120K at October 2025 top. There are more formulas. There's 2 more formulas, in fact. Both of the next 2 formulas speculate that the price of the halving will be $63,000. Okay. And from there, we use 2 separate formulas in identifying price targets of 196K or 103K. So basically, I have vague price predictions. 3 separate formulas give me 3 separate predictions. One of them is 120K, one of them is 103,000, one of them is 196,000. So I can't be sure on which one is more reliable until I know what price Bitcoin is at the halving. So when we get to the halving in April, and I see the actual price Bitcoin is at the halving, then I can extrapolate the prior trends further and give you a more precise price prediction. But right now, the best I can give you is 103 to 196K in Q4 2025, more specifically in October 2025. So my kind of future predictions on Bitcoin, according to the 4-year cycle, based on the 4-year cycle entirely, is $103,000 to $196,000 in October 2025. Now again, at the halving, which is in just under 2 months, I will be able to narrow that down, I believe, to around a $30,000 range. So for example, I could narrow it down to something, hypothetically, like 120,000 to 150,000 in October. And that's when you're getting real utility. Because right now, it's a little bit too broad to be useful. It's just a rough indication. But when I'm able to narrow it down at the halving, I can get some real utility out of that price prediction. And if it works perfectly, well, that's just an excellent prediction. We can start to extrapolate data further in the future. But right now, that's what the 4-year cycle suggests. So again, one more time, 103 to 196,000 in October 2025. Now, the question is, okay, because if the 4-year cycle plays out perfectly, cool, that's all good. We don't even need to worry about anything else. We just wait for the halving, get the better target, and then we can utilize that. But the problem we're facing now is that we have in a YouTube community poll I did yesterday, we have 50% of my audience thinking that we will see a super cycle on Bitcoin, meaning that 50% of my audience believe the 4-year cycle will break. And this is a heavily pro 4-year cycle channel. So if 50% of my audience thinks the 4-year cycle is going to break, you can only imagine what percent of the actual broader cryptocurrency audience thinks the 4-year cycle is going to break is. Okay? Most people at this point, probably 70%, 80% of people think the 4-year cycle will break this time around. And this is good and bad. Well, one of the reasons it's good is because obviously there is some truth to the statement the majority is always wrong. And if no one's expecting the 4-year cycle to work this time, then maybe it will. The bad is, well, the fact that so many people think it's not going to work means there's probably a reason they believe that. And the reason is quite clear to me. And this is where we get into the macro trends under threat right now. These predictions are all well and good. The 4-year cycle is all well and good. But right now, the macro trend, not the 4-year cycle, right? But a macro trend that is part of the 4-year cycle is under attack. Okay, we have a macro trend on Bitcoin. I've spoken about it so many times, it's making my mouth bleed at this point. How many times I've repeated myself in this one, but I have to do it in this video again. Maybe you haven't seen it. Let's take a look. So a macro trend on Bitcoin, a structural macro trend going back to 2013. You can see we have a yellow horizontal line, and we have a rejection, a pre-halving correction from a rejection of that yellow horizontal line in every single cycle, right? So a pre-halving drop in every single cycle. Not only does it stem from the horizontal yellow line, it also stems from an RSI horizontal line, which gives extra validity to that rejection zone. So if we are going to follow this macro trend, What we should be doing here on Bitcoin is rejecting downwards and entering 2 to 3 months of correction and consolidation, going down to something like 35K, and then going upwards for a bull market after the halving. That would be the absolute ideal follow of the 4-year cycle and the absolute ideal follow of the macro trends. So although the macro trends, although the 4-year cycle is based specifically on tops and bottoms, and so therefore, if we did break this macro trend here by closing above the yellow line this month, and we did not see a pre-halving correction, that would not break the 4-year cycle. It would be the first proper macro trend that Bitcoin breaks, and it would be an indication that this cycle is different, an early indication. It wouldn't prove anything necessarily. You know, I'll say it again here. The macro trend on the screen that you're seeing right now predicts or suggests that Bitcoin should be correcting downwards, okay? Dropping downwards until the halving at least, okay? And then from the halving, it suggests Bitcoin will go upwards, but it suggests we should drop here. We should reject here and drop downwards. If we do not do that, this macro trend will be broken. Breaking this macro trend is not the same thing as breaking the 4-year cycle, but it would be the first proper indication we have that Bitcoin is acting unusually, and that will be bad for the 4-year cycle. Because if Bitcoin is acting unusually and it's moving too fast, it could very well move up way too quick and top out earlier than expected. There's only so long Bitcoin can go up for, okay? There's a reason the 4-year cycle works. It works because the macro trends are reliable and the macro trends have been followed. If we break macro trends left, right, and center, the 4-year cycle becomes less reliable, even though it would not be invalidated. Okay, it's very important that we do not rely on the 4-year cycle for too long. Okay, and I'm saying that as the biggest proponent of the 4-year cycle. I'm so pro 4-year cycle. It's the best thing you can use for Bitcoin. But it's very important that we don't rely on it for too long. If there are indications that this cycle is different, we cannot just ignore them. Because the thing is, right, the 4-year cycle will not be invalidated until Bitcoin tops out. Okay, so we won't know if the 4-year cycle is broken until Bitcoin reaches a top. And by the time we know it's broken, by the time it's confirmed to be broken, we could be down 50%. That's the reality. So we really want Bitcoin to remain true to what it's done historically on a macro basis. And breaking macro trends, even like this one, are not good signs. But right now, what can I say? I can say this. I can say that Bitcoin is still, as of current, following the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle, in my opinion, or my suggestions based on the 4-year cycle, give targets of 103,000 to 196,000 in October 2025. If we do start to deviate too heavily, like breaking this macro trend and breaking other macro trends, then we need to consider alternative targets. What are alternative targets? Well, there are alternative targets we can look at. It's hard to give specific price points for them. There's things like this RSI channel. We can, for example, get out of Bitcoin when the RSI channel breaks. There's things like the power law chart on Bitcoin. There's things like pi cycle top theory on Bitcoin. There's things like Crypto Crew University's 5.3 trend on Bitcoin, which gives us a target of $84,000 on the Bitcoin top. And, you know, I've criticized that pretty heavily in the past. I've done 2 separate YouTube videos on it, actually, and you can see them right here. He suggests we'll see a 79K top, sorry, not 84K, 79K top, and then a 10-year bear market. I've criticized that quite heavily. I don't think that's supported by the evidence, but if we do start breaking a lot of the macro trends in regards to 4-year cycle, we do need to start taking these other theories quite seriously. But as of right now, guys, nothing is broken yet. As of right now, the 4-year cycle is still intact, and as of right now, I can give you those price targets for the 4-year cycle. And I can also say that when we see the halving, I will be able to narrow down those price targets. But it's very important that Bitcoin doesn't go ahead and start invalidating macro trends left, right, and center, because that completely destroys the predictability we have in this market. And as I say over and over and over again, it's predictability that makes us money, okay? It's not the price moving upwards. It's not the price moving downwards. The price can move upwards to $1 million tomorrow. The fact of the matter is, predictability is what makes you money. I would much rather have a fully predictable cycle where Bitcoin only goes to 100K than have a random cycle where Bitcoin goes to $1 million. I swear on my grave, I would rather have the first scenario. So that's how important this is. So this macro trend we'll have to watch quite closely, but 4-year cycle at this point is quite interesting. I hope those price targets generate some discussion in the comments section. And again, at the halving, I'll be able to narrow it down quite a bit further, but it gives you an idea of how important macro trends are on a generalized basis. Even if they aren't directly related to the 4-year cycle, they still are important for various reasons. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.